Boa tarde. Good afternoon. Bem-vindos ao Pavilhão do Conhecimento, a sede da Agência Nacional para a Cultura Científica e Tecnológica em Portugal, a Ciência Viva, que hoje, um pouco por todo o país, celebra o Dia Nacional dos Cientistas e, principalmente hoje, temos um evento especial que recebemos de novo os Caminhos do Conhecimento sob o tema O Conhecimento não risca fronteiras. O meu nome é Pedro Russo, eu sou um dos diretores da Agência Nacional Ciência Viva e é com enorme prazer que os recebemos todos aqui no Pavilhão do Conhecimento. Dear guests, it's a really pleasure to have you here today at the Pavilion of Knowledge, the headquarters of the National Agency for Scientific and Technological Culture in Portugal, and especially for this event, the Streams of Knowledge, under a very special theme to us, knowledge does not draw borders. So, to give you a welcome message, I'd like to invite to the stage the President of Ciência Viva, Rosalia Vargas. Rosalia.
Hello, good afternoon. Well, vou começar em português and I will change for English in a minute. Gostaria de cumprimentar todos e todas e dizer que hoje é um dia muito especial, não é? O Dia Nacional dos Cientistas e estamos num auditório também muito especial. Já vamos ver porquê, mas eu acho que já sabem. Escolhemos este título, O Conhecimento não risca fronteiras. Lembram-se do verso de José Gomes Ferreira, Virgílio Ferreira. O céu ao menos não tem muros, as aves não riscam fronteiras, nem põem vidros partidos nas nuvens. É esse o verso que nos inspirou para este mote deste dia de que knowledge does not draw borders. Well, good afternoon everyone. A special thanks to Ukraine ambassador to the Portuguese Republic, Marina Mikhailenko. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. And to Stanislav Dovki, is president of the Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine. You was a three-time member of the Ukrainian parliament, and you also was first science minister in 1997, right? Wonderful. You have close to you also a former Minister of Science and Technology and Higher Education, Professor Elvira Fortunato. Okay. And thanks also to Federico Lira, Science Innovation Officer. I think I didn't say hello before. He's not, he will come, I think, in the representation of the British Embassy in Lisbon. Carlos Moraes Pires, dear friend, is Senior Expert Advisor at the European Commission, representation in Portugal. Thank you very much for your presence. Fernanda Rolo, she is not here now, but she was here during all the morning with a very interesting session with schools and students and teachers, but she will come. Say to her that I mentioned her, because she is a great scientist. Thank you to Frederico Fiusa. Frederico, you are full professor at the Instituto Superior Técnico and member of the Young Scientists Seminar at the Academy of Sciences of Lisbon. Thank you for coming. And I'm seeing Gail Lord, dear friend. You are very welcome to the National Scientists Day. Gail is president and co-founder of Lord Resource Cultural from Canada, and member of our International Advisory Committee of Ciência Viva. And also Elvira is member of this committee. And I'm not seeing Antonio Rendes, he said that he will come also, he's a member. We have been together over 3 days, working very hard. Thank you very much for being here and for your advice. I would like to give a warm welcome to our guests from Ukraine. You know that we know very much that your country is going through a very difficult and dangerous time because of the war. Slide is this one. You can recognize me and Vasil and the president that I mentioned, Stanislav. And but even in all these challenges, you have still come here to share and work with us. Thank you very much. I had the opportunity to meet you, as I have the evidence, to meet you in several occasions, including this one, during a STC conference in Chicago. It was the last one. And I have been impressed with your strength and love for knowledge and science engagement, inspire us all. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for all of us. Of course, another evidence of our meeting, and is always a great moment to meet you in these several occasions. Of course, I can't mention all because just today, throughout Portugal, we are celebrating the National Day of Scientists in universities, museums, schools, science centers, and many other institutions. And I'm so happy to welcome you all for these Streams of Knowledge 2025. Today is a very special day, as I said, the National Day of Scientists. And I knew some hours ago that, a couple hours ago, that in Ukraine you will be celebrating the Day of Science tomorrow. So it's so close from the day of our celebration. It's good to know. At Streams of Knowledge 2025, we want to talk about something very important. Is the role of science, technology and knowledge in the current geopolitical situation. At Ciência Viva, we truly know and truly work to make sure that knowledge belongs to everyone, not only a few. This belief is at the heart of something called the Knowledge of Our Common Future Declaration. It was written by Mariano Gago. This important paper, or manifesto, was written by Mariano Gago, as I said, our founder, a great scientist and a political leader. His words remind us that knowledge is like a treasure we all share, not only for ourselves, but for the future generations too. The knowledge of our common future. I can say that each science center in our 21 network of science centers throughout the country has this poster, and also a lot of universities, because we need to read and to think of these thoughts, because it helps people live better lives. When we share that we know what we know, we can solve problems together, like dealing with wars, climate emergency, or making sure everyone has a fair chance in life. This is why we are here together today. We want to make sure that knowledge flows like a river, open, free, and strong. We must protect it, share it, and make it possible to everyone to learn, to no matter who they are or where they live. Today, we also remember how important scientists are. The day is yours. We remember Mariano Gago and all those who helped write the manifesto. We support scientists everywhere, especially those who are in danger or face unfair treatment. Let us use this event as a chance to work together. We already had the chance to talk this during lunchtime, to learn from each other, and let us agree the knowledge belongs to everyone, and it is our job to share and keep it safe for the future. I think I have another slide. It's a very important one, because today we published in 2 newspapers, a daily one, Público, and also in Expresso, weekly newspaper, this announcement, because we are in tune, in the same thoughts with Europe. Europe for science, because without science is no future. So you are so happy, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rosalia. And I would like to invite to stage our next speaker in the opening remarks, Frederico Fiuza, full professor at Técnico and also member of the Young Scientist Seminar at the Academy of Science of Lisbon. Frederico.
Boa tarde a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today as we celebrate the National Scientist Day in this beautiful event. I'm honored to speak both as a scientist and as a representative of the Seminário dos Jovens Cientistas, the Youth Academy of the Lisbon Academy of Sciences. I'd like to thank Rosalia and all the organizers for the very kind invitation, my fellow speakers, and especially our Ukrainian colleagues. Your presence here is deeply inspiring. As a scientist, I often think about what does it really mean to do science and what gives me the most joy in this process. In the end, it's all about asking questions and the journey that follows in the pursuit of answers. Starting from discussing with different colleagues, hearing different perspectives, and especially often arriving at solutions that differ from everyone's initial guess. That is a transformative and a very satisfying process. Science at its best is shared. The theme of this event reminds us that science thrives on openness. Knowledge does not know about borders. Whether we're working on medicine, physics, or technology, collaboration, international collaboration is key for success. If we look at some of the most recent breakthroughs, from vaccines to nuclear fusion ignition, international collaboration was key for this success. No single scientist or country can solve these outstanding challenges just by themselves. At the Lisbon Youth Academy, we are also committed to removing these boundaries, starting with the one between science and society. Too often, the public sees science as something distant, something that we scientists do in our complex labs, disconnected from everyday's life. Sometimes I do wonder if the public still thinks of us as spending our day in some lab coat, mixing some strange liquids and waiting for some lightning to strike. I assure you that that's not the case. Okay. Come on, on Fridays we even get a suit and come to events like this one. I think it's important to realize that at its core, science is simply about asking questions and seeking the most reliable answers. In times where we face complex and urgent challenges, from pandemics to the recurring replacement of facts by rumors and opinions, it is important that we help close this gap. As Mariano Gago, whom we also pay tribute to today, once said, "A ciência é cultura." Science is culture. It's not something separate from society, but something that helps shape it. And I believe it's our responsibility as scientists to help make that closer and more accessible to society and help replace distance with dialogue. Today we are also reminded that sometimes science faces not only challenges of communication, but can also face challenges to its own existence. In times of crisis and war, like the one Ukraine is facing right now, the pursuit of knowledge is much, much harder and also more vital. To our Ukrainian colleagues, your determination to keep pursuing knowledge in these extreme times, it's an extraordinary example. It's a powerful example that the pursuit of knowledge must continue, even in such difficult circumstances, and that it is important to search for the truth always. So thank you for that example. As divisions become stronger in today's world, I think it's our responsibility and the responsibility of science to promote connection across borders, across disciplines, and between scientists and the societies that we serve. Because in the end, science is not about ownership, it is about asking questions and searching for the most reliable answers. And if we ask these questions together, we will arrive at stronger answers and more long-lasting. So, thank you very much.
Obrigado. Thank you, Frederico. And I would like to ask now to Stanislav Dovgi, President of the Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine. And also Stanislav is going to speak in Ukrainian, and Vasil Dunets, who is the Deputy Director of the Junior Academy of Sciences, is going to be translated into English. Thank you. Yes.
Шановні учасники конференції,
Dear participant of the conference and dear friends,
я представляю Малу академію наук, Центр ЮНЕСКО з наукової освіти.
I represent the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, the UNESCO Center on Science Education.
Це дитяча організація, яка об'єднує близько 300 тисяч школярів з усієї України.
It's children organization which unites more than 300,000 children around Ukraine.
На жаль, частина дітей сьогодні знаходиться за кордоном, в тому числі і в Португалії.
Unfortunately, part of Ukrainian children today they stay abroad, namely in Portugal.
Перш за все, я хочу подякувати нашим партнерам. Це асоціація Excite, з якою ми плідно працюємо з першого дня війни.
First of all, I would like to say thank you to our partners, to the European Network of Science Centers and Science Museum Excite, because we collaborate for many years.
А також наших партнерів у Португалії, Національне агентство наукової та технологічної культури і президент пані Розалія Варгас.
And also send our gratitude to the National Agency of Scientific and Technology Cultural in Portugal, and namely to the president of this agency, to Rosalia Vargas.
Для нас висока честь, що з нами сьогодні знаходиться посол України у Португалії Марина Михайленко, яка дуже багато робить для підтримки українців, українських дітей, які знаходяться в Португалії.
And it's a great honor for us that today, together with us, there is an ambassador of the Ukraine to Portugal, Marina Mikhailenko, who works a lot for support Ukrainian children and Ukrainians abroad in Portugal.
Члени нашої невеличкої делегації – це я, президент Малої академії Станіслав Довгий.
And members of our small delegation, it's Stanislav Dolgi, is the president of the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine.
Василь Донець, заступник директора Малої
And
академії.
me, I'm Vasil Dunets, the deputy director of the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine.
І Марія Дуброва, директор музею науки і завідувачка відділу розвитку музеїв науки Малої академії наук.
And Maria Dobrova, who is the director of the Science Museum in Kyiv and head of Department for Science Center Development and the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine.
Мета нашого візиту в Португалію – це вивчення досвіду наших португальських друзів, колег, реформування природничих дисциплін на основі розбудови мережі центрів і музеїв науки.
The goal of our trip to Portugal is find out more and explore Portuguese experience and in reforming natural science disciplines based on science museum, science centers in Ukraine.
Ми задоволенням відмічаємо, що Португалія досягла значного лідерства в цьому напрямку.
And we know that Portugal is a leadership in this direction.
Також ми вивчаємо досвід Голландії.
We also at the same time learn the experiences in the Netherlands,
Польщі.
Poland,
Ну і також значною популярністю користується методика руки в тісті, яка розроблена ляпат, яка розроблена французькими колегами у Франції.
and also it's very popular in this direction, methodic La main à la pâte, which was developed by French colleagues from the National Academy.
Наш досвід починається з 2000 року, коли ми відкрили перший державний музей науки в Україні на виставці в такому центральному виставочному центрі міста Києва, столиці.
Our experience rooted in 2020 when we opened the first National Science Museum in Kyiv in the area Expo Center.
На жаль, в зв'язку з військовим вторгненням Росії на територію України музей науки було переміщено на західну частину України до міста Львова.
At the beginning of Russian full-scale military invasion, the Science Museum in Kyiv was temporarily transferred to Lviv, to the western part of Ukraine.
У Львові його відвідало понад 50 тисяч дітей.
And more than 50,000 children visited this Science Museum in Lviv.
І в грудні 22-го року музей відновив свою роботу в Києві.
And in December 2022, the Science Museum in Kyiv reopened in Kyiv.
Незважаючи на складні обставини в Україні, за рік музей відвідало 150 тисяч відвідувачів.
Despite difficult circumstances in Ukraine, during the 1 year, the Science Museum in Kyiv visited more than 150,000 visitors.
З метою створення доступу до освіти і науки, подолання освітніх втрат та підтримки освітньої інфраструктури України, Мала академія наук ініціювала на початку війни комплексну програму, яка передбачає відкриття регіональних центрів науки з експозиційними просторами та навчальними лабораторіями у західних і центральних областях України, де не відбуваються бойових дій.
In order to support the educational infrastructure and educational uses, the Junior Academy of Sciences was initiated a complex program in opening Science Museum and Science Center in western and central part of Ukraine.
І ми щиро вдячні нашим партнерам, музеям Німеччини, Данії, Бельгії, Нідерландів, Швейцарії, Польщі, Франції, Норвегії, Чехії, Фінляндії та Португалії, які надали нам допомогу у вигляді гуманітарної допомоги, експонати, експозиції.
And we are very grateful to our partners from France, Denmark, Switzerland, Norway, Czech Republic, Poland, Portugal, also Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, that helped us and donated exhibits to develop this initiative.
Португалію не забув.
Yes.
Нам за рахунок допомоги вдалося відкрити понад 10 центрів музеїв науки в Україні.
Thanks for this support, we opened more than 10 science centers in Ukraine.
І сьогодні ми також маємо експонати і можливості відкрити до кінця року ще близько 10 центрів і музеїв науки.
And now we have exhibits and potential open 10 science centers until the end of this year in Ukraine.
Також наші друзі із Мюнхена допомогли нам придбати автомобіль для пересувного музею, мандрівного музею науки, який працює у прифронтових областях.
And also our friends from Munich, they help us to buy a van for the traveling for mobile exhibition, which is visited for regions very close to the front line.
Також трошки більше ніж місяць тому ми відкрили в Києві, також на території національної виставочки, музей математики, який ми назвали «Кубоїд». Це музей подолання освітніх втрат з математики.
And more than 1 month ago, in Kyiv, we opened the Museum of Mathematics, which is called Kuboid, and the main goal is to overcome educational losses.
Музей має близько 200 експонатів, займає більше 2,5 тисяч квадратних метрів. І призначений, музей інтерактивний, він призначений для зацікавлення дітей наукою, а також для занять і для навчання педагогів, реформування математики, викладання математики.
The museum, there are like space for 2,500 square meters, and there are more than 200 exhibits. And the main goal is to support Ukrainian children and also Ukrainian teachers with mathematics and make some reforms in mathematics area.
Як я вже казав, наші португальські колеги з Агентства наукової та технологічної культури передали нам експонати, які будуть поставлені найближчим часом. І буде відкрито музей науки у селищі Свалява на Закарпатті.
As I mentioned before, our colleagues from the National Agency of Scientific and Technology Culture from Portugal donated us exhibits, which will be the part of future science museum in the city or the town of Svalava in the Transcarpathian regions.
І ще раз хочу подякувати за цю підтримку і допомогу.
One more time, thank you for this support and your help.
Також хочу сказати ще про один напрямок нашої діяльності. Це представництво Малої академії наук за кордоном.
And I would like to say more about one more direction of our activities. It is representative of the Junior Academy of Sciences abroad.
У зв'язку з тим, що значна кількість дітей, українських школярів перебуває за кордоном, велике значення має координація та надання можливості спілкування і наукового залучення в україномовних центрах країн Європи.
It's very important that for Ukrainian children, as we mentioned, that many of them stay abroad to have connections with Ukraine, with Ukrainian language, and also make some research in Ukrainian.
З цією метою Мала академія наук вже має своїх представників у Франції, Німеччині, Данії, Польщі, країнах Прибалтики.
The framework of this initiative, we have some representatives in France, Germany, Denmark, and Baltic countries, and Poland.
Основна мета наша – це щоб наші діти не втратили зв'язку з батьківщиною, і щоб після закінчення війни діти повернулися на Україну.
Our main goal is to keep in touch Ukrainian children with Ukraine, and when the war will finish, to invite them to come back home.
Ми вже мали дискусію з цього приводу з агенцією і з пані послом щодо відкриття такого представництва в Португалії. І ми маємо надію, що спільними зусиллями ми зробимо цю роботу.
We had a discussion with Ciencia Viva at the Ukrainian ambassador about this initiative, and we hope that we will do in this direction.
Також хочу сказати про ініціативу, яка, мабуть, ще не так широко відома. 14 квітня цього року виконавча рада ЮНЕСКО на своїй 221-й сесії підтримала ініціативу Малої академії наук. Україна зробила подання про заснування 27 листопада Міжнародного дня залучення до науки заради сталого розвитку.
And I would like to tell more about one more initiative. On April 14, on the Executive Council of UNESCO, Ukraine, namely the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, initiated to proclaim on November 27 the International Day on Science Engagement for Sustainable Development, and it was approved by the Executive Council of UNESCO.
І дуже приємно, що мою доповідь на виконавчій раді підтримали практично всі країни, члени ЮНЕСКО.
And it was a pleasure that Stanislav initiative was approved by all countries on Executive Council of UNESCO.
Цей проект зайняв 6 років.
This project took like more than 6 years.
Але тепер ми маємо дуже цікаву, таку розкладку.
But now we have very good initiative and very good opportunity.
Новий міжнародний день буде відбуватися в синергії з Міжнародним десятиліттям науки до сталого розвитку 24-33 роки.
And this International Day on Science Engagement will be part of the Decades on Science, proclaimed also by the UNESCO for 10 years.
Це було ухвалено на Генеральній асамблеї ЮНЕСКО минулого року.
It was accepted on the General Session of UNESCO last year.
Також дата 27 листопада для України є символічною, тому що це день заснування Української академії наук.
And the day November 27 is also very important for Ukraine because it is a date when National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine was established.
А також день народження видатного вченого, організатора науки, багаторічного президента Академії Бориса Патона.
And it's also the day of birthday of the Ukrainian famous scientist and the president of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, Boris Paton.
У зв'язку з тим, що 24 листопада в Португалії відзначається Державне свято Національний день науки та технологій, ми пропонуємо провести спільні заходи залучення дітей до науки протягом тижня, починаючи з 24 листопада і включаючи 27 листопада.
As you know, in Portugal, on November 24, there is a day of scientific and technology culture. That's why we offer to have like a week of science between November 24 and November 27.
Це дасть можливість об'єднати три визначні події і дати.
It gives us an opportunity to unite these three dates.
На завершення я ще раз хочу подякувати нашим колегам за теплий зустріч, за прийом, за можливість спілкуватися і за можливість в цей складний час для України розбудовувати освіту на базі центрів, музеїв науки. І це надзвичайно важливо для тисяч українських дітей, які сьогодні обмежені у своїх можливостях навчання.
And in the end, I would like to say thank you to all of our partners who support Ukraine in these difficult times for our country and help to develop initiatives, different educational initiatives, and support Ukrainian children.
Ще раз дякую партнерам, португальським друзям і португальському народу.
Thank you very much to our partners, Portuguese friends and Portugal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stanislav, and thank you, Vasil, for this. And now I would like to ask to join us on this session of the opening remarks, Madam Ambassador of Ukraine to the Republic of Portugal, Marina Mikhailenko.
Boa tarde a todos. Dear Madam President of Ciência Viva, Senora Rosalina Vargas, dear Federico Fiuza, representative of young scientists of the Academy of Science of Lisbon, dear Portuguese friends, dear ministers, dear President of the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, Stanislav Dovgi, dear colleague from Ukraine also, and Senioras and Senores. So at the outset, I would like to thank Ciência Viva and all our Portuguese friends for this initiative to invite the Ukrainian scientists to participate in the National Day in Portugal. We really appreciate the fact that the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine and its representatives and its president can attend this event. This kind of support is extremely important for us, especially during the Russia's unprovoked and unjustified full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And as you are well aware, the young Ukrainian scientists unfortunately have had to leave and walk through very difficult times. The war and its horrors will leave their mark on their entire lives. Many Ukrainian scientists have already given their lives on the battlefield, defending Ukraine from the aggressor, and many are still fighting today. And since February 2022, we already lost 155 scientists, Ukrainian scientists, and unfortunately more than 5,000 of our scientists were forced to leave Ukraine. However, the work of those who continue to do science in Ukraine under these extremely difficult circumstances is highly valued. Maintaining our scientific potential and training scientific personnel are essential for the future of our country and, of course, for the Ukrainian reconstruction after the full-fledged war. Thus, I would like to thank our Portuguese friends and our European friends for its open support of Ukraine and its scientist community. This enables our scientists to keep working both inside and outside Ukraine. Since the full-fledged war started, many universities and research groups offered immediate support to Ukrainian scientists who left the country, providing opportunities to join their existing projects. Within the framework of this project, scientists who left Ukraine were able to continue their scientific work without interruption, while those who remained in the country gained opportunities for additional research funding, international cooperation, and the good example is the cooperation between our youth Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine and the Cienza Viva, and also knowledge exchange and receiving modern equipment. So this solidarity from colleagues, grant agencies and other funding bodies has been of immense value to Ukrainian scientists in this most difficult time in Ukraine's history. It's lifted our spirit and give us strength and faith in our struggle. So in this regard, I would like once more time to thank Cienza Viva, Agenzia Nacional para Cultura Científica and Tecnológica, for your invaluable support of the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine in its activity on popularizing science among youth and creating museums all around Ukraine. We appreciate it a lot. So the cooperation, some words regarding our bilateral cooperation between Portugal and Ukraine in this particular sphere. We are very much interested in deepening this kind of cooperation. So the cooperation between Ukraine and Portugal in science, technology, IT sector has great potential, and both of our countries have ambition to become the European innovation and technological leaders and have corresponding human and resource capabilities for that. The legal basis of Ukrainian-Portuguese cooperation in the scientific and technological sphere was established many years ago by the intergovernmental agreement on cooperation, and now this cooperation has become also multilateral. As part of the work on diversifying the areas of bilateral cooperation, we proposed signing the bilateral memorandum on science, technology and innovation cooperation with the participation of higher education and research institutions of both countries. So, and this cooperation, I'm sure, would promote such activities like joint research and development project, exchange of scientists, researchers and experts, exchange of scientists and technological information and documentation, organization of joint scientific conference, symposium, seminars, workshop, exhibitions, so on and so forth. Now this document is under consideration of our Portuguese friends. So one of the most successful examples of bilateral cooperation between our country also is the regular participation of the Ukrainian official delegations, companies, start-up in the largest European technological conference, Web Summit. You know that this summit organized every year in Lisbon, and we are grateful to our Portuguese friend for the possibility to participate in this very important IT event. So during since November 2021, Ukraine used to organize the National Pavilion, of course, with the help of our Portuguese friends, and once again, thanks a lot. And I'm pleased to mention the recent start of active dialogue between the different national institutions of our countries, which are involved in policy making, elaboration, and implementation of digital transformation strategies. You know that Ukraine is very strong in this particular sphere as regard digitalization. So, and of course, we are very much interested to in deepening of our cooperation. So another perspective and important area of bilateral communication is the cooperation in cybersecurity and defense technologies sectors. And I'm convinced that the academic research and development centers of both countries could contribute much to make us stronger and secure face of the current security threats. So as you see, there is a huge potential for increasing our cooperation, and of course my embassy will do our best to make it possible, including this idea to have some common events during this week, which was mentioned by the president of our academy. So I would like to wish your event, and I would like to wish the conference participants success, fruitful work, productive, interesting, and useful meetings. Thanks again. Thank you.
And now I think we are ready to start the sessions, the panel discussions that we're going to have, the 3 sessions. And to moderate and to lead the next session, I would like to invite Ana Noronha, the Executive Director of Ciência Viva, to moderate the session about geopolitics of knowledge. And since Ana is joining us, maybe I'll also invite Vasil, Vasil Donets, the Deputy Director of the Junior Academy of Sciences, and Carlos Moraes Pires, Senior Expert Advisor of the European Commission representation in Portugal. Welcome.
Shift 1. Yeah, of course. So, it's a pleasure to have you here today. We are really so very happy. We are starting this panel where we will discuss geopolitics of knowledge. Geopolitics of knowledge. I would start to ask each of one to present yourself, please. And if you want to show some presentation or something, and then we'll start the discussion, and I'll start to make you questions.
Difficult ones?
Difficult ones, very difficult, I'm sure.
Thank you. Maybe we'll start with video.
Please? Okay. Can you please have the video?
you can restart. No.
Continue. We continue and then they will, there's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, you continue.
My name is Vasil Dunets. I'm Deputy Director for the Junior Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. And in this video, which you could see, we would like to present our Junior Academy of Sciences. As our President of Junior Academy of Sciences, Stanislav Dovhy, mentioned that we main our goal just to promote science among school children, and we do it in different types of activities. We have summer school, summer camps, different tournaments, different Olympiads, and also from 2020 we develop a big direction. It's science centers, science museums. 10 years ago, when I finished the university and I got a job at the Junior Academy of Sciences, our president of Junior Academy, Stanislav, inspired me that I has idea that we need to open the first science museum in Ukraine. That's why, in that way, my story with the Junior Academy was started. And I am so happy that more than 10 years of big our team work, and now we have good results, such as we start to develop a network of science museums, science centers, and this video, which you could see, this also not very short part of our work. This, yes, that how this geopolitical situation and how international collaborations support us, Ukraine, in this situation. The title of this conference, "Knowledge Doesn't Draw Borders," and you could saw the many exhibits donated from different organizations. And it could happen thanks to partnership with European network of science centers, science museums, and also exchanges our activities, exchanges information. And because Ukraine is a part of Europe, and we are so happy that we have many partners and many friends, that today we can say that we are not alone. We together in these difficult times. So thank you so much for this, and we will discuss more about our activities in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasil. Just a question on this. So you deal not only with science museums and science centers, but also with projects of kids and students, young students, university students, or even young researchers?
We mostly work with school children from 6 until 18, but also from some students like first and second years.
Okay, okay.
But our main auditorium is school children.
School children, okay. Are you ready to try the video again, please? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So there's a map of dots of Ukraine with dots that mean the science centers. This is an image that is very dear to us because we also have a map with dots. Please.
Yes, for us it's important because Ukraine is a big country.
Yeah, much bigger than us.
And we want to reach as much as we can in different regions to have a permanent science centers or also reached by science on wheels, as you see a van, a truck, mobile exhibitions.
Yeah. Carlos, the floor is yours.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much. Boa tarde a todos. Hello, everybody. This is an extraordinary example of resilience, so congratulations to Ukraine and to all the people from Ukraine. This is really, it was an impressive example of how resilient you are, and betting on knowledge is really building the future. So, and in name of the Commission, I would like to thank Ciência Viva, Rosalia. Thank you, Anna, for inviting us. It's really a great pleasure for us to share with you these moments. And the topics are, of course, science. Today we are all a little bit scientists, some more than others, but still it's the Day of Scientists. So congratulations to all over the world. In Kyiv, in all the dots that we saw on the maps, and Ciência Viva has a lot of nodes in Portugal, even in remote areas, and this is also an extraordinary example of how you can bring so much if you really engage on this networking of knowledge, networks of knowledge. So for me, I would like to present a couple of slides. So I'm Carlos, I work for the Commission, I joined in the late 90s. I am myself a bit of an academic, but then I went to the Commission, and when you go to the Commission, your brain starts to decrease in size and so on. But still, I try to be connected with all science in Europe, in Portugal in particular. I have a lot of good friends, despite I mean, on top of the science part. So the two slides I would like to present, a couple of slides, just because Anna said that also she has some questions for us, as she said, but also to be able to do something very quick and I would not say provocative, but at least to some things that sometimes I think when I'm, I don't know, on the metro or thinking a little bit, have some time to evade myself. And first of all, congratulations for the poetic. It's usual from Ciência Viva. This sentence from José Gomes Ferreira is really appealing. It's the sky. We say the sky is the limit, or there is no limit to our culture, to our imagination. We pay tribute to someone that defended open science. In 2007, there was the Portuguese presidency, and my professor Mariano Gago was in charge at the time of the Portuguese policy on research, and I remember how strong he was advocating for openness, as it was said in the morning, as a tool or as a methodology of science that can go much beyond science, and we need absolutely today this example, this role model of science, of openness. Okay, so but basically you see the first slide is happy birthday, happy day of scientists. The second one, if you I have to click. It's me. So I have to work. Click. I have to work. Yes. Okay, good. So the second one is about Ciência Viva, which is a logo that is wonderful, because it could be Ciência Viva and recursive. Viva Ciência, Ciência Viva. It's really very recursive. Sorry? Yeah, so it's very recursive. I like, and I put all flags in the world because I could put the European flag or the Ukrainian flag or and I added there and the Portuguese flag, but then I said no, science is all about everyone, and everyone has the right to in particular kids to hope for better lives, as it was said this morning, and to dream. And there is no limits, so all the flags in the world are there, so everyone is there. So Ciência Viva is also the logo. I like it very much because you see someone with an orbit. It looks like a planet, but for me, I don't know if the head is the head, or if the planet is the head, or if the head is just moving around, because scientists are always a little bit with their brain in orbit. So I think it's the head that is spinning. Anyway, so the slide, so it's me. And this is the story, the provocation I would like, or the provocation, the thing I would like to put on here for us to reflect together in the panel. So, and this is about a famous case that looks funny, but is at the same time tragic. And I will explain why it came to my mind when Anna sent her questions to us, or some of the things she sent to prepare for this panel. It is a case law, because science is now more and more politics, geopolitics, it's also civil engagement, a lot of things. So there is a lot that goes beyond science as such. And so this, I thought about this because it's interesting that today said science is culture. And Mariano Gago said it, and in fact the next slide you will see that it's quoting Professor Lessig on Free Culture book. And he explains with this case that it is Mr. Cosby that had a farm close to a military airport. And at some point he said, well, my chickens are suffering a lot with noise and vibrations of these planes. And he filed a case against the United States. Because he was counting, and the chickens were really suffering from it, and 150 casualties. Chickens were dead because of these military planes landing very close to the farm. And believe it or not, he went to court and he won. So the United States had to pay him a lot of, well, I'm now putting a little bit of drama. The United States would have to pay compensation for this, because his property, in theory, had a wall that went up to the sky, and this was the Latin law. Your property on the surface of the land was going up to the sky and down to the hell, in the sense of the deep of the earth.
Mining.
So property was an important thing. And I don't remember the Latin word, but this was law. And then, next slide, it's me again. And then the United States appealed, and the judges found that the claim of Mr. Cosby was, okay, good, it's important to defend human life, people that were suffering, but it would be a bit, and I think there is a sentence there saying, common sense revolts at this idea. So actually he lost afterwards, because the reasoning was, well, you see, it would not be possible for humans to really fulfill this big invention and innovation with airplanes if this would be the case, because we would all have to stop planes and ask permission to go to the next farm, and this would be really a blocking progress. So the title of this slide, the previous one, is Ideas that were solid as rock in one age crumble in another. And this is science at its best, because science is always about challenging ideas, fortunately, with a method of dialogue. So for me, this is, and I stop here, this is what I was offering as a challenge for the rest of our day and of our discussion. And the two metaphors I would like to put is that, what about knowledge? What about property? Do we have property of knowledge? Do we have ways to make knowledge shareable, and when it is shareable? So this is something probably everyone has his own ideas, but again, this morning it was said that science basically thrives through openness.
Thank you. So this was based in the Roman right, but then of course the Romans didn't have drones or planes or satellites. So, well, the things have to change. And this goes right into my first question, which is, what impacts do you think that the present geopolitical situation will have in research in Europe? We have seen that there is, in a certain sense, a better sense of togetherness, of the need to team up and to develop more resilience, more strength. But then there are other efforts that are competing with the effort in science. So, Vasil, I don't know if you want to tell something.
I would like to tell something from Ukrainian perspective that especially this full-scale Russian invasion changed a lot of made many changes in our lives, especially in science. For example, now we have some, as today the ambassador of Ukraine mentioned, that new areas of scientific research are very prioritized. For example, in cybersecurity, drones, energy, and because during these last 3 years, more than 3 years, we saw that we need to change if we want to to survive in these circumstances. We need to change our mind. We need to be more creative and start to think in another way, like out of the box. If they have many missiles, so we need to build and protect something. Or if they want to destroy our energy system, so we need to find alternative resources for Ukrainian energy system. And it changed a lot of in Ukrainian science, and many, as I mentioned, security, cyber security, energy system, misinformation. These areas now is very important for Ukraine, and the state, the government pays attention on these issues. Also, we as a Junior Academy of Sciences, we also follow trends in Ukraine, in the world, and especially in these circumstances, we develop also some summer camps, summer schools, or some even some workshop, for example, with energy, how to generate new energy, or you can build your power battery and you can charge your phone. Despite if you have energy and don't have energy, you can use solar panels, small solar panels. So we need to teach children to survive now in current circumstances. It's kind of innovative way, and maybe in Ukraine, Ukrainian scientists, Ukrainian society will share what we will discover during these difficult times. We will share with all world, with Europe and all scientists. I know it's for us, it's a bad experience, but this bad experience gives us pressure to find a way. So I think this.
Yeah. And I think it's important for everybody. Even for us, we had a massive blackout very recently in Portugal and Spain. And I think that people became more aware of technology and of the risks that we have nowadays. Because, Carlos, this war is not a localized war. It's not war as it used to be. This is a different kind of war.
Yeah, absolutely, Vasil. I fully agree with you. This is, let's say, how should I say, what you said as well, resilience starts from preparing our generations, why not, but the young generations in particular, to a lot of challenges, which this geopolitical situation, including the aggression to Ukraine, is an example that amplified other, we often use the word perma-crisis. We are already for a while in this sort of what will come next. The pandemic, the war in Ukraine, displacement of millions of people. So Europe started to feel the pressure that events that we sometimes cannot control, or we cannot control. And then there are the ones that we know and science knows that exist, and it's just a question of time, which is climate change, that will create its own problems, or eventually are already creating by displacing people from one parts of the world to other parts. So what I would say to your question, and fully agreeing with Vasil, is that if we would summarize what we are living today is uncertainty. Yeah. So we became as a society or societies in plural, and individuals more anxious about not feeling our feet in stable grounds, because we are, and of course also the digital transformation, the flood of information also helps in this sense. So to be short and sharp as possible, the politics has a role, an impact on science, because this was your question, a strong one, but from both sides. First is that uncertainty, not in the sense of, I guess, Heisenberg or something like that, but so the scientists should know. Uncertainty is there for scientists, for citizens, so science is just one area that is suffering from uncertainty, geopolitical uncertainty, but also, and maybe we can talk later, about responsibility, because science has a lot has a lot of mechanisms to deal with uncertainty.
Yep.
Maybe just to say, you mentioned about blackouts, recent blackouts, I know, in Spain and Portugal. But for example, for Ukraine, it's like every family has oil generator or big power bank. So for us, it's like now it's okay. It's no electricity. Okay, we have another way. So. Yeah. It's like a kind of way how to solve the solution, how to find a solution.
Yes. Well, it's worse to know that a blackout had an origin in an act of war. Ours, fortunately, was not. However,
the practical.
I always refer the Ukraine of war. It's not your war. It is our war. It's a war in the eastern part of Europe. It's our war. And so the next question for you, Vasil, is how could we, Ciência Viva, help? For example, we know there are lots of children in Portugal, Ukrainian children, either children that came, families that are fully established here from a number of years. Some of these children have Ukrainian roots, but they are already Portuguese nationality because they were born in Portugal. But they have their Ukrainian roots, which is very important that they keep. And on the other hand, there are some kids that came with their mothers as refugees. Now, what could we do for them? Just some suggestions where we could help.
And thank you very much for the question. In 2022, when this full Russian invasion, military invasion started, many Ukrainian children, many Ukrainian families, they went abroad in a stay. And we at the Junior Academy of Sciences decided, okay, we have children who stay in Ukraine, and now we have children who moved abroad. So, and we said, okay, we need to pay attention also in children who stay in Ukraine and children who went abroad. And we provide different educational programs and activities. For example, to children who stay in Ukraine, we build science museums, science centers. But also, I remember 2022 was when we had many online programs. And for example, it was like teams, I need to set up a team, and there was Ukrainian children and Ukrainian teacher and children who stay abroad. And we spoke with teachers and said, okay, online programs is a good opportunity for us to have contact with Ukrainian children because they moved abroad. We don't see them in our city, in our town, but using your online programs, we can have contact. At the same time, the Junior Academy of Sciences were gave some initiative. Then we started a program, international program, Discover Science in Ukrainian. And we started this around science. So we put attention on science, and we discussed with the first Polish science centers, especially from the Copernicus Science Center. Okay, in Poland there are many Ukrainian people. How we can help? As a Junior Academy of Sciences, and we translated all information from Polish, from English into Ukrainian, and send all these texts to the Polish science centers, and they have Polish, English, and Ukrainian instructions. So and also we translated websites, we translated different scenarios. Then we share this program to Germany, to other countries. So maybe it's good time for the fest as also to scale this program also to Portugal. As we today discussed that like 100,000 Ukrainians stay in Portugal. It's a good way just also to translate because we have many specialists who can translate from Portuguese or English into Ukrainian. And the second time, today Stanislav mentioned that it will be great to have a representative of the Junior Academy of Sciences in Portugal to have a contact, and because we understand that the war will finish, I know when, but it will finish, and then we would like to invite Ukrainian children to come back home. Why this is very important for us, but for this period we need to keep in touch with them, and science centers can help us, like around science, build this relationship, build communication. Kind of ideas.
Thank you. Now I have a question for Carlos, because recently EU documents, three important EU documents stressed the importance of science for the competitiveness of Europe, and related also with STEM and STEM education. And one of them, which I think it's right on the spot for this session, is Enrique Leta's fifth freedom. The fifth freedom, a proposal to add a fifth freedom, a freedom for no borders for research, innovation, and education. That's what we are talking about here. So just very briefly, what do you think this could help Europeans to feel nearer to each other by making, by further diminishing these borders?
Absolutely. So, no, thank you, Anna. This is really very enlightening. The word freedom associated with science, freedom of thought, freedom of research, goes back to the slide. Things that are solid rock in one era are not necessarily that solid if we see the geopolitics around us. And so it's so important that you stress that Leta's report, but there are other two very important reports: the Draghi report on competitiveness and the so-called ATO report on more research and innovation, also calling for a strong European program, which is Horizon Europe. So to put it forward after 2028, a similar endeavor. We have here the former minister as well. I know she agrees on this idea that research is playing already its role in Europe and should do more. Now, getting about freedom and getting people close together, this is extremely important. And this was also, we discussed a little bit, freedom. As I said, we know that some things that were taken for granted are now put in question in this uncertainty that I talked before. So we need a lot of work, and to make freedom something tangible, science or scientists, because today we are talking about scientists as well, have also a strong responsibility. So I would like to turn the egg on the other side and put back the thing to you, to the audience of scientists all over Europe and in Ukraine and all the flags in the world, for their responsibility, because one of the consequences of this sort of uncertainty is diminishing trust in all our relationships, at individual level, at societal level, at political level, at institutional level. When trust starts to be less, there are a consequence, which is people start to wait and see. People don't take decisions because there is a lot of unpredictability. And so science can help a lot as role model as science and with the scientists as a driving force, and with Ciência Viva and the people like you, bringing this trust back in a strong way, because lack of trust means princípio da razão insuficiente. I will not translate this. If I don't know, I don't decide. And it can be just because we don't know, 50-50, launching a coin, or because we don't really know what's going to be the move of the others, unfriendly moves and so on. So science has a lot of pedagogy that needs to go to schools, to all the networks, saying, you know, if I have a great idea in science, I need to talk to someone to check if what I'm thinking is so stupid that I should not even open my mouth, or if it is worth sharing with others so that I have some degree of validation and sometimes some big discovery, why not, against all the first guesses. But this dialogue of trust is embedded in the scientific system, which is also full of flaws, because there are people that try to cheat even in the scientific domain, let's be frank. But on the other hand, and I finish here, this fifth freedom, it means for me responsibility for the scientists as persons, and as a collective effort for science as a pedagogical way to increase trust.
Thank you. Right, what you are doing.
And I would like to add something. You mentioned about responsibility of scientists, but I see that also our responsibility as science communicators and science promoters, that we need to transfer this passion to children to be scientists, because I know how situation in Portugal, but I know in Ukraine, but many children, they want to be like a lawyer or some financial or to work in bank, but scientists, in Ukraine we have situation that the very low percentage of school students apply for physics for the university.
Let's change that.
But they want to be like psychology or some philology, and we need to change it. That's why we want to develop this network of science centers, science museum, to give this passion to new generation. It's also important.
Excellent. Fully agree.
Thank you. So maybe as we want to not to become very late, maybe we would stop here.
Yes.
We can continue over the cocktail afterwards. Okay. In the end of the afternoon, we'll continue. And so I thank you both for this conversation.
Thank you, and we would like to say thank you also to Rosalia and to Pedro for this invitation, and for you as a moderator. We will discuss more outside this room, more discuss this question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We could continue the whole afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for moderating this session. And now I'd like to invite Yvonne Fachada, also director at Ciência Viva, to moderate the next session. And also, I'll take the opportunity also to invite the panelists of the session. Patrícia Conde Moinho, assistant professor at the Técnico and coordinator of the Arts Collaboration at CERN. Alexander Chatrovitsky, researcher at the CE3C and National Museum of Science and Natural History. Fernanda Rolo, full professor at Nova University of Lisbon. And Fernanda, Rosalia asked me to tell you that she mentioned you in the opening.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I would like to give a warm welcome to our colleagues from Ukraine, especially Madam Ambassador, Marina Mikhailenko, and also our colleagues from science museums and researchers and the Junior Academy of Sciences. I'm really emotional to have you here, and it's very special for us to receive you here. So I would like to welcome also my panel, Patricia, Alexander, and Fernando. Welcome. Our panel is dedicated to science beyond borders, not without borders. We'll talk about the role of international partnerships in scientific funding, in knowledge transfer, and also in research training. To talk about this topic, I will invite first Patricia Moinho from Técnico to present herself and to give your presentation, and we'll do the same with the following guests, okay? So Patricia, please, you can start.
Thank you. Maybe. Okay. My name is Patricia Conde Moinho. I'm the coordinator of the Portuguese participation in the Atlas experiment at CERN. And I want to bring back one of the ideas that was presented today, mentioned at the first session by Federico Fiusa, sorry, that we scientists have the responsibility to work beyond borders and to bring science forward as a means of establishing bridges between different countries. And this is what we do in the collaborations we do at CERN. CERN is a very special place for research because it's the European Organization for Particle Physics, the European Lab for Particle Physics, but it has already expanded outside Europe. So we have members, countries such as Israel, or associate member states such as the US, Canada, India. And it was founded in 1945 by 12 European countries after the Second World War as a means of peaceful collaboration. So collaboration beyond borders with for the good of science, for peaceful scientific objective is at the heart of CERN, I guess at the heart of everybody who works there as well now. Today is the largest research lab in the world. At CERN we do big experiments and big collaborations. So we start by big questions that we all want to answer. All the scientists have a question to answer, like understanding how the universe works and so on. And for that, we need to build big detectors. I have here a picture of the detector I work at when it was still being built. It's not like this today. It's even bigger than that. And you see the size of a person. So it's like a 5-story building and 40 meters long, made of sensors and electronics that were in processors that were specifically designed for this experiment. And the experiment has lasted for over 30 years. With these big collaborations come as well big challenges, okay? In order to do this kind of thing, we have to join together a lot of people from different countries with a common objective. And each of us have to get aligned to do what we need to do to get this experiment to life. And our collaborations are really truly examples of science beyond borders. We have the order of 4,000 members, out of which typically 3,000 are physicists, but the rest are engineers, students, and they come typically from 40 countries and 180 different institutes around the world. And you see, those are the examples, the countries that actively participate as institutions in the collaboration. If you count on the nationalities of the scientists, and then there are much more than those. They span many other countries as well. These bring typically big challenges that are not only scientific. Some of the challenges are actually more common day, like we have to get over a lot of, so I will just not discuss this. I will leave these ideas here, and we will discuss them later, like how we overtake the differences, cultural difference, political difference, how we share the information, how we integrate everybody, how we also share the impact, societal impact of our research. So these are a lot of challenges we have to overtake.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. So Atlas is a window to the future and to bridge new knowledge that it's coming. So do you think science has that part of building bridges? Since you talk about this collaboration so intense with 4,000 members, do you think the role of science is more of an opportunity, I believe, than a challenge?
No, yes, of course, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to bring to reach against beyond borders. So it is an opportunity, and we use it. And it was even CERN or this our collaboration. We have countries you could see there that are typically not in good relationship with each other, sometimes at war, and we scientists use this. So we all have a common objective that is scientific, is peaceful, and we have to share it, and we have to work together, and we have to learn how to do it. And we can be an example of how countries can go beyond their differences and beyond their even political differences or whatever, and work together. And I think this is yes, it's an opportunity and an example. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now I'll give the word and the floor to Alexander Shatrovsky. He's a researcher in the Center for Ecology, Evolution, and Environmental Change, and also works in the National Museum of Natural History and Science. Alexander, please. Hello.
Thank you. Microphone is working?
Yes, it's working.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, шановні любі друзі, caros senhoras e senhoras. Em primeiro lugar, gostaria de agradecer aos organizadores da conferência por me terem convidado como participante. Tentarei não ser chato. This is my presentation, and I think some information about my scientific activity, international activity, may be useful for this our discussion. I choose this template, single Ukrainian scientist waits answer from the Europe and see for Europe as for sunrise.
I can help you.
No,
you can? Okay.
I can do it myself. Thank you.
You have to use the microphone as well.
Microphone is not so necessary for me.
Just because, for the audience.
I have experience to read lectures in the class of about this size.
It's just
with 200 students.
We are streaming, so it will be best for you to use the microphone if you don't mind. Maybe I can help you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Patricia.
Oh, thank you, Patricia.
Collaboration.
In this presentation, and this is my name, you can see that I have two graduations of Kharkiv University. Entomologist. Entomology is a division of zoology, studying insects, and marketologist. And these specialties are connective. And thanks to these specialities, I proposed some models for consumer behavior in cross-cultural environment. And of course, entomology is my general line for all my life, and I am engaged in this space. Next. This is my last job. You can see medical students. I taught in medical system in this university and in this faculty. During this teaching, I was engaged in some people activity. For example, Ukrainian Environmental League, naming Ecological League, but it is not correct in translation. In Entomological Society, I am head of Kharkiv Entomological Society, but I never took part in work of any political party. Policy and science mustn't be mixed. There are different directions of people activity. And I was a member of Balfour Brown Club. This is international organization forming in Britain, in Great Britain. Now there are some hundreds members from all the world, and our joint interest is studying of water beetles, part of insects. We have intensively communicated, so I have experience. But my students were this: Indian, Arabian, Turkish. Unfortunately, after first day of the war, they left our country, and I left work. But thanks to presence of our daughter in Portugal, she is a citizen of Portugal, we migrated to your country, and we very obliged for all, for each Portuguese citizen for supporting us. Here I am working as a volunteer because unfortunately my age don't give me right to work with contract, labor contract in any university, unfortunately. And I work in this museum, you can see name, and I have some field work. This is a methodic of collecting of water beetles. Unfortunately, I applied to some grants. Most known of them is grant from University of Maria Sklodowska-Curie from France. There were about 500 applications from Ukrainian scientists. I formed application from Coimbra University, and 4 Ukrainian scientists was in this university, but unfortunately unsuccessful. 500 people divided, applications divided into 5 groups, and in my group of 100 applications, I was only 72nd. Because unfortunately, I don't know the logic of decision of commission. They have own logic. My topic was studying of the water beetles of Portugal, and I see that I need in Museum of Portugal. It gives me collection. As for microscope, this is microscope of the museum. I have my own microscope, thanks to my friends from Britain and from Spain. they gave me money and I bought. So this is example of international collaboration.
Yes, so do you think it's difficult for people that come from a country in crisis and in under construction? It's difficult to leave, of course, it's difficult to leave their countries, but it's difficult to integrate international networks, like scientific groups in universities?
No, integration to work in university was not difficult, but unfortunately this is only my initiative. I am volunteer.
Yeah.
So if I had any financial supporting, I could do more and more than I made for the last 3 years. I have some publications and prepare publication in joint publication with Portuguese authors from Coimbra University, from Lisbon University, so I hope it will be developed, but financial support is very, very necessary to me. I have experience in working in projects of Erasmus, Tempus, and thanks to this project, firstly, I visited Portugal in 2009 year. Firstly, after this, I visited not at once, and from this year, I live. And my efforts were printed in National Geographic, in this American journal, in Portuguese edition. I am very obliged for attention to speciality. I mentioned all my colleagues that supported in these researches and hope to continue this work. And now,
thank you,
thank you for attention.
Thank you.
And thank you personally.
Thank you. Just to mention that Alexander's daughter, she already did a PhD in the University of Algarve, and she's now currently working there, so her integration was a little bit easier, thanks to the Erasmus program as well. So now we go to Fernanda. Fernanda, please.
Hi. Good afternoon to you all. It's a pleasure, and of course, special thanks to Ciência Viva, Rosalia, Ana, Ivan. You are always doing not only a great job, but you have a sense of responsibility regarding the scientific community, the country, and all abroad. So thank you very much. And of course, mention also Pedro. Ivan, I don't know, I know that we have a short time, but I have essentially 4 messages.
Yes.
First of all, I'm an historian, so I'm a professor at Nova University of Lisbon, and I work in contemporary history not only, but my main field and my commitment with the world and with science is through history. And perhaps that is my first message, not only the idea of a scientific and an historical perception of life and understanding the world, but because in my field I also studied the scientific policies, not only in Portugal but abroad. And so that is my first message, is to understand the course of history. And we have good examples here. Mm-hmm. So, and regarding Portugal, we must understand that we had very difficult times in our country when the ideas of trying to organize science and to try to fund science and to promote science in Portugal and our institutions, it's only in the beginning of the 20th century and with a lot of difficulties. So we didn't have that idea, and of course in our country where development and scientific development was in the very, very, very beginning, so we had not only scientists, but of course the institutions, etc. It was really difficult. But if that happened in the beginning of the 20th century, but it began very well with an institution that nowadays everyone knows as the Instituto Camões, but the first institution in Portugal that had the responsibility of organizing science with that idea of international collaboration and working beyond frontiers was the Junta Nacional de Educação. It's the Instituto Camões nowadays. And it had that commitment with a vision, something that if we remember some speeches that were written in that times, we could think that perhaps it was from the Minister of Science in the last decades, but it was not. They had the vision, they had the plan, and they had that idea of the need to put our country in those scientific and international dialogues. So it began there with trying to connect with the Rockefeller Foundation, with Spain, with Belgium, trying to see and study their examples and receiving research from those countries to be in Portugal and teach our students and send abroad our young people and our researchers. So that idea that we have nowadays of sending abroad, receiving, building research units for people who went abroad and when they were coming, it began in the beginning of the 20th century. But sometimes, and we cannot forget that, after those years we had a dictatorship in Portugal. And we must not forget it, because we are celebrating now today, of course, the Day of the Scientist, and you know that even Mariano Gago, he was a fighter against the dictatorship, but during those 40 years it was very difficult for Portugal. But it's not true to say that we had not a scientific policy or we had not science. No, we had it, but in a very specific way and locked in a box, and of course with a specific framework. And of course, if scientists, and we have that debt to them, were against the regime because they wanted their freedom to do science, to teach their students, if they were against, they were expelled. So we must not forget. I think that today we spoke about Alexandre Quintanilha. His father, Alexandre Quintanilha, was the man who proposed the denomination of this day of scientists in the our National Assembly. His father was expelled from our country, as many others. So we must not forget. But though it was very difficult for our country to establish this kind of international networks. And that is the first lesson, I think, and it was my first message. We need time. We need to know history, we need to understand it, and we need time to build international collaborations, international partnership and contacts, and to have good friends abroad, even in some bilateral relations, but in multi-level, of course, institutions. So we need to know the history, even from the CERN, and difficulties from Portugal to be accepted there. And once again, the mission of Mariano Gago was also important. But we need time. But the next message is about not only the time and the knowledge, the historical knowledge of all of these and difficulties, but to understand all the ecosystem. And we must put the pieces in their own time. I brought a video because Yvonne said that we could bring a video. In a second, I will ask you to share it with us, because it's about this idea of ecosystem. Nowadays, we know and we are aware that we have this complex ecosystem at national level and international level, and we must work at different levels. We need a national policy regarding international respect and recognition of scientific relationships. We need science diplomacy. We don't have it. I'm so sorry. We need representation from Portugal abroad. We need strong contacts. And of course we need to recognize, and we know that we are very lucky, because after and considering all the vicissitudes, all the difficulties, we were very good trying to connect outside. But sometimes it was not about institutions, but about scientists, about people. And that's why I brought this example, and I ask you to share just the first minute and a half of the video.
Fazer investigação. A pessoa não escolhe ser cientista, a pessoa escolhe fazer investigação. E eu escolhi fazer investigação durante o curso de medicina. Porque agora, em retrospecto, quer dizer, a pessoa não sabe na altura, não é? Depois, em retrospecto, faz aí uma história e pode contar uma história que lhe agrada a ela e às outras pessoas, mas, de facto, aquilo a que eu fui sempre muito sensível durante o curso não era tanto ao que se sabia como ao que não se sabia. E, portanto, se a pessoa é sensível ao que não se sabe.
So, the idea is to share with you how many scientists in Portugal went abroad. They were our ambassadors. They were not only ambassadors. They were also the ways, the bridges to the internationalization and connections of Portugal. So this was what happened during the 60s, the 70s, even in the 80s. And of course, I think that was other of the challenges of Yvonne. It's about our experience regarding this. So I think that it's so important to have this idea of ecosystem and the different levels, because we must work at national level, institutional level, even at the level of higher education institutions, and of course the Ciência Viva and all kind of institutions that are a part of those ecosystems, but also about people like Alexander and like Maria de Souza. We have a good example here also with us. Elvira Fortunacci did the same. People went abroad and they tried to design their own networks. Sometimes it works and it's perfect, but we need more nowadays. And first of all, and that is the third message, we need a vision and a plan. And we need to design it and to have a good plan, and also not only the vision of the country, but the tools, and to have science diplomacy, because we have these kind of connections, but for they to be effective, we need more, and we need commitment, and we need responsibilities. And that's the ultimate idea is not only the recognition of those institutions, and first of all, I want to name Erasmus. I think it was one of the most important institutions and dynamics that we were beneficiaries in Portugal, and as I understand, Alexander also, but all the kind of institutions at European level. But nowadays it's globally, and we must be aware that we need this global plan, and we have also the luck to be very inspired by UNESCO and other kind of institutions and movements like Open Science, and we need to have our own vision and global vision and European vision to increase this kind of international collaboration. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. And of course, open science, I think it's an inspiration for do that, but it's also needed to engage society. So that was when I see nowadays, and I think about institutional and international collaboration, I also think about this, okay, and we need to engage society, we need to engage schools in this global movement, because it's the only way to fight for peace, to solve questions so difficult like Ukraine, but also the global challenges, the climate change, etc. So that's what I think, and I think that we need that international dialogue, and the science is needed for that. It's impossible to I don't know, to face these kind of challenges without science. And if science is not collaborative and with people, it will not be possible. So that was my perception as an historian. Thank you.
Great context and frame for our conversation. So Patricia, you are a Spanish researcher working in Portugal for 20 years. How much of your day-to-day job as a researcher, and today it's national scientist today, how important is the role of international collaborations in three dimensions: in funding of your research, and you can give us certainly some examples, in this knowledge transfer that you gain from the colleagues abroad and that you also give back, and also we talked about having received many Ukrainian students, even Russian students from all over the world. This capacity building of scientists is also very important. What do you have to say about that? And also the challenges. We want to talk about the challenges.
Maybe I will start with your second point, that was this sharing and what do we gain with this international collaboration. So working, let's say, in an international environment, we learn, I mean, it's much more productive. If you work in a diverse, let's call it diverse in general, a diverse research environment where you have people that come from different places with different points of view, with different perspectives, with different culture, background, you get to work in a very, in a more innovative environment that brings ideas from many different places. The international collaboration also brings closer scientists from many different countries. Typically, okay, you would like to work in collaboration with the best in the other countries as well. Getting to work together then also boosts your research and their research, and we can all bring our own experience and our own different perspective and join them together. And this, in the end, results in a much more productive research environment and translates in a better training, for instance, for young members or young researchers as well. In terms of funding, okay, our big collaborations are a bit particular because we have an experiment that has to last for 30 years, despite the fact that maybe the funding cycles in our countries maybe go for 1 or 2 years and these kind of things. So it's a challenge, but we manage to do it. So we have to let's say, plan what we want to do. We have to agree within the collaboration. We have to decide who pays what. And we all have to find the funds to contribute. And it's not very easy, but we manage with a long future ahead of us. So our experiments will last at least till 2014. We want to contribute to this research, and we have to bring students, get the funding for them, and so on. We manage in different ways in every country. We also explore funding opportunities together, like say European Union and so on. But sometimes it's more us from our country to get to contribute to this, and we have our responsibility as well as a country when we can contribute to an experiment like this. We have to contribute and get something done. We can do it, so we try to do it on our own, such that it's also a benefit for the country. So it's a return of the research within the country as well.
Okay, so Alexander, I would like to ask you, do you have the microphone? Yes. So in times of crisis, how do you think science can help? How could we help you, for example, go back to your country to do research if you wanted to? Do you think that would be possible? It's a very difficult question, I know.
No, this is not a difficult question because I know answer. Answer is simple and visible. As told Fernanda, international collaboration not only is necessary, but must be the only way for a future global society. So we must find any ways for collaboration. But as far as I know, some next questions will be devoted to this. So I'll
so you can answer now. What's the more? How can we boost research funding in your context, for example?
Yes. Yes. As for funding, it's right that international foundation is working. For example, I took part in British Foundation Oxford Hospitality Scheme. During holidays, some foreign scientists may take part, or our students took part in Erasmus. And first attempts was not completely successful because students were adapted to our system of education. When each their step is controlled. Okay. In West Europe, it's completely absent. And some successful our students were unsuccessful here. But there was only first step. Information from the students was distributed among the next students, the rest students, and next step was completely successful. So first steps may be not simple, may be difficult, but next will be necessary and successful by any way.
So thank you. Fernanda, I was thinking that what Alexander said in the beginning, that politics and science don't mix, and you are a scientist and you are also a government, a Secretary of State of Science. What would you say in this science diplomacy that you said it needs time to happen? What can we do right now to use the research that we are doing in terms to promote peace and not only to do research with this dual use that we are talking about in Europe?
Well, first of all, I think that science and policy and society mix a lot.
Mix a lot.
In very different ways. I understood why Alexander told it. What can we do for peace? We can do everything for peace. First of all, we must not forget that UNESCO elected this decade as the decade of science, first of all. That's a very strong message. Yes. That's really a very, very strong message. So we must work on it at the level of education, society, science, etc. So if we use science in a very wise way, in education and in literacy and with purposes, I think that we must work on it because we need science to increase the fight regarding inequalities. We need science for the fight for justice. We need social sciences and humanities, as we never did it, to make people understand the ways that we are working and we are seeing what's happening in the world wide, in politics or in climates, etc. So we need them to work with people. And we need science to show people that if we don't have science, the inequality and the injustice will grow. And look the example of COVID.
Yeah.
So,
but do you think we need new ways to have international collaboration
in
this new time?
Absolutely, of course. We need responsibilities and commitments, but we need ideas and we need a vision and we need plans and we need funding and we need be aware of that I don't know, the way that we can press and to work with governments and politics, because it's impossible to do it in a different way. And we need society, and we need to work with society because they must be the most strong partnership for science is society. So that's, I think that we must continue to work and we must have this awareness and to promote more dialogues like this and perhaps invite universities to work together towards collaborative plans. And we have some good examples. Yeah. You know that, for instance, Portugal didn't have a representation in the European Commission to fight for the science, etc. But Spain had a representation, and Spain worked sometimes with Portugal to that representation. So I think that we must talk more and try to see if in the different levels we can do more and use the programs that we have. I think that's it's a loss of resources.
Do you have any specific example of a successful and effective international partnership that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Yes, I know.
Yes. I think one of them is marvelous, is at the Erasmus, at the level of the Erasmus programs. When we work with people and professors and students in schools, and we share how is our country and how we can share it, our knowledge and experience with them, we can work together in common goals. Of course, you have a lot of them at the European programs. And I wanted also to mention the dialogue South-South. And I wanted to mention the collaborations, and I am so sorry, but we also must be aware of our historical responsibilities with our cultures and our languages and our traditional knowledge. And the traditional knowledge is not only indigenous, it's in our own countries. Yeah. And we have these responsibilities regarding Portuguese with Latin America and with Africa, but also with Europe. So we have a lot to do on that context. So we are now seeing that some programs, international programs, and once again, Europe, UNESCO, etc., they are trying to call for most strong connection and collaboration between science, as said, pure science and humanities and arts and humanities, and in the others, and at the same time to increase the collaboration from science with culture. Yeah. And we must not confuse science is science, but we need culture to increase this kind of science.
Absolutely. So Alexander, we are running out of time, so I would like you to give your final message regarding the role of these international partnerships, and what do you see the future? How do you see the future?
I have some words that I would be glad to propose for discussion.
Thanks.
We discuss about partnership, about collaboration as a partnership. Yes. But any interrelations are not only partnerships. It may be in competition too.
Yes.
And according my experience in researches of natural and social systems, some laws, some rules that were discovered in the wild nature are completely compound to social systems, economic systems, etc. For example, Darwin's conception of natural selection proposed for wild nature is the same process of competition and struggle between various parts present in social systems and economic system. Yes, present.
Yes.
And according to principle of development of natural system at the expense of its environment, any more highly organized system using of or modifying the environment of life represents a potential threat to the lower organization system, or simple, winner survives, loser dies. Yes, this struggle is very, very...
We can see that you are an ecologist doing this
yes.
parallelism between systems and
during
nature.
Interrelation between science of a high developed country and developing country, a result may be not only positive, and we must understand it. We must support a country with destroyed or less developed science to support them. I tell we, but I am from the country of particle destroyed science, unfortunately, by policy of historical development and especially some last years of the war. So, as a Ukrainian scientist, I would ask to support us and so the same countries in our science development. We have some sad experience of isolation of some countries. China for many years was isolated. Albania tried to isolate itself, but as a result, they returned to international community because there is the only way. I don't know whether agree with you with my arguments.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, and Patricia wants to build on that.
Yeah, maybe I would like to comment a little bit on this competition and collaboration, because sometimes there can be both at the same time. You can be competing with, and in our case, we have it very frequently. We have these big collaborations, but we are also competing with other groups within the collaboration. Sometimes, for instance, when we propose an upgrade of a detector, there are groups competing with different technologies, and there is one that is chosen, but once this technology is chosen, the other ones have to collaborate with the winner as well. So there is always, I mean, this is good because we choose the best, and then all of us work on the best solution. This is not bad. There is always the way of competing and collaborating as well. It's not exclusive one and the other one.
So thank you so much. I invite you to go. I want a round of applause to our collaborators. Thank you so much. And we can continue with the session. Thank you so much for the inspiring conversation.
Alexander, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you to all the panelists of this session. And we are getting very close to the end of this session. And because we have a small cocktail outside, we will try to finish in 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So I think we're going to be ready shortly after 6. So now I'd like to invite to join me here in this panel, last panel discussion. I will start with Teresa Firmino. She's already standing, a science journalist and science editor at Public Newspaper. Gail Lord, president and co-founder of Lord Cultural Resources. And our also guests from Ukraine, Katerina Frantseva, project manager at the International Astronomical Union at the Astronomy for Development, and my colleague at Leiden University, the Netherlands, and Maria Dubrova, director of the Science Museum of Kiev. So welcome to, let's wait for Maria. And welcome to our last session. And our last session is about the geopolitical future of science, which is a very tricky topic, but very also present and very current. And we'll try to dive a bit deeper today on the topic. I think we're going to try to do it in 25 minutes and also take the opportunity to have some discussions afterwards outside during the cocktail. So, since we don't have that much time, I'll ask Maria to start. And Maria, you have a short video to present, right?
Yes, but it's if we can do it in the middle of.
Let's watch the video. It's always nice.
All time we're speaking about the science and education, and is important important components of society, and war really doesn't change it. At the previous session, my colleague Vasil Donets tell a little bit about European Union supporting Ukraine and our process of development, the system of science center in Ukraine, and we really thankful for all Europe. We have different exhibits from more than 20 corners of Europe, of the world, and it very support us, really, in this process. Why I come back to this theme? Because you will understand why do we continue doing the Science Centers Network in Ukraine, because the Science Center in Kiev, this is the place of absolutely happy from our families. And this is the point which I want to focus today, because imagine the situation when your father all time in the second line of the war and come back home twice or 3 times of the year and spending a little bit 2-3 days with the family at all. And actually, everyone wants to spend the time in maximum contact with the dad. And the Science Center is just a place when the people and families can do this. Because this is the opportunity to spend quality time with family, and they can interact together, they can discuss together, and this is much more than just see cartoon and discussing it at home. But in the Science Center, you're in the process of understanding and be in touch all time. This is the main, the important things for families with the of soldiers. And why I'm speaking about it, because I have a son. He's 3 years old, and my husband is a soldier, and I really know what I'm speaking about. And our team working on the science centers provide the project. It was born before the war. This is the Travel and Science Museum. But now it is important for us because we are going to regions was suffered the most from the Russian invasion. And I want to show you a short video about the science centers and our travel and exhibition.
Thank you, Maria. Maybe you can play the video now.
And a little bit more about it. The Science Museum team make a little bit changes in the travel and exhibition. We choose the exhibits which can easily placed in the shelter. And we go as close to the war line as we can, and it gets possible to do, and place the Science Museum in the shelter. And difficult to find exhibits which we can put in the shelter, but we do it. And one of them is the Polish constructor Mamutiko. It is real safety, and the main idea that children can imaginary rebuild the houses. Their houses was destroyed, and with this constructor they like renew their houses by playing, by science, and we speak a lot of the physics aspects and the architectural aspects in this process. This is the we try to get as close a front line as it's possible, I said it, but they still live our children. They are studying online at schools and really need to atmosphere to be together. And the main dangerous is that if we put children together in one place, Russian troops really fast understand it and send missiles and send drones for this place. That's why we work in the shelter or in the 0th floor, which can make us decision to run the shelter as fast as we can. Is it a little bit dangerous? Yes. Is the team of the Science Museum in Kiev scared? Yes. But does it stop us? No. No, because this is our children, because the science can unite children, united people, can united teachers, and they are mostly motivated to work, don't stop work, don't stop study, and our teachers really must be motivated from our team, and this is the one of the point. A Russian invasion has failed to destroy our relationship to, has not failed to destroy our relationship with the world scientific community, and I think it will never happen, really. I really believe it, and all my team really believe in it. Ukrainians are grateful to you, Europe and Portuguese, for your support. We really feel it every day, and in the science society, we really feel it, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. And I think it's a very good representation how science can really be a bit of a sense of future, and that future is essential to have some hope as well. And without hope, without future, and without science, it will be extremely difficult. So also, thank you so much for all the work that you do, and it's really inspiring to all of us. Maybe I will move to Gail. Gail, you have.
I can't adapt.
Gail has an extensive experience in the cultural sector. I think you told me yesterday that you work in how many countries did you work? Maybe. Do you mind to give the microphone to? Yes. So we only have. Sorry. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 58.
You say 50. You'll come to that. But you work in more than 58 countries, and I know that you have a short presentation that you can to set a bit of discussion, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So can we have the slides for Gail?
I only have this presentation because you asked me to do it. Okay. So firstly, I'm going to dispense with my profound thank you to everybody because we don't have time, but you brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. Very special to understand. So you may wonder, I represent a company. Don't represent this government, although I love it. I love my country very much. Then we do museum and cultural planning worldwide. We're 42 years in this rather unique business. And so that's my background. So we won't go into that. Why do I have this ridiculous map here for you to look at? It's got every single possible, what would you call it, stereotype of Canada you can imagine, because I wanted to find a picture that showed you what is the longest undefended border in the world. That's all. It's a simple thing. You can see it's very long. And the other thing to know is that the vast majority of our 40 million people live on that border. So, and I'm very grateful to Dr. Rollo for your reference to history, because we really need to imagine what it's like before, because our mandate in this talk is about the future. Before, you've given us before in your country, the before. By the way, my family came from Odessa, turn of the last century, you know. But the point is, now you've told us the experience in such a powerful way. And this session's about the future, but you know, it's only 2 months ago that we had received a message from the President of the United States, who we hope will change his position on Ukraine, saying that he had every plan to acquire 3 independent countries, Canada, Greenland, which is semi-autonomous, not fully independent, obviously, semi-autonomous, part of another free country, and Panama. And, you know, we put ourselves in the future by looking also at the past. Now, the United States has invaded us twice before, and they were defeated both times, by the way. Now, it was, thank you, because it's kind of a thing. But what I want to emphasize is that really, right now for us, my country is completely galvanized. We don't go to the United States voluntarily anymore. We don't buy American products. We hope very much that the United States is going to be a big supporter of Ukraine, obviously. It's very important. But it's hard to imagine how a democratic country, independent country, can move into some other realm when it hasn't yet happened. And that's, I guess, all I want to say here, because we're here to talk about the future. So the future is rebuilding, and science has a huge role to play in rebuilding, and all of culture does too. So I want to also say, Dr. Rollo, you took my speech so I can save some time. No, thank you. Let's look at the next two slides. So just to say, this situation that we're in makes me, I think makes all Canadians, frankly, completely sympathetic and tremendous awe of the Ukrainian struggle, because who knows, we could be there too. So in the future, what are some of the techniques and methods that we would want to be using to ensure, sorry about that, international cooperation? Oh, just have a bad voice because let me go faster. Soft power is very, very important. We are in an era of hard power. Tariffs are a form, just to pick something offhand, of hard economic power. And it's an ancient system going back to the mercantile era, when historically all that kind of economics leads to war. It doesn't ever lead to peace, right? Never in history has that economic strategy led to peace. So soft power is something very important to think about for the future. So I won't read you the definition, but clearly science practice, museum practice, cultural practice is everything to do with soft power. So now the next one, just to be very, very brief, and you mentioned cultural diplomacy, science diplomacy. We'll just stop on this one for one moment, is going to be extremely important. Science diplomacy is social diplomacy. It's not just scientists speaking to scientists, although we had such a great talk from scientists here today, for which I thank you. But it's also when the culture of science is embedded in society that we can begin to have meaningful dialogue. I would just say that during time of war, during time of international stress, and then after in our future, I think the other speakers have all said, and the speaker from CERN certainly said, the key thing is to be open. So I have to remember every day that 48% of Americans do not agree with the administration, and a further 25% of Americans, or maybe 20, realistic here, are on the fence. They're not sure yet what they think. And so when you realize that, you do realize that the ongoing communication between people, culture, art, and science is essentially crucial to the present and the future. I won't speak again.
Thank you, Gail, and for bringing those very important concepts. I guess the relationship between soft power and now cultural diplomacy, and of course Fernando already mentioned also the importance that connects very much with the concept of science diplomacy and how we can bring that together. Maybe I'll move to Teresa, and this is one of the rare opportunities that I can ask a question to Teresa, because Teresa, of course, is a journalist. She's usually the one asking questions, so I'm a bit nervous. And
me too.
And I'll try to be gentle, Teresa. And no, maybe not. So I would like to have your opinion about the role of the media in both of course, in the current situation of this tension, this polarization in these conflicts. But I want you to do it from a perspective of a science journalist. It's very different from a political journalist, but as a science journalist, what's your perspective on these the role of the media in these tensions that we have, both geopolitical, but also political and sometimes even geographical.
Hi, hello everybody. I think it's crucial, really crucial, and I think it's a great opportunity to show how media and news media can be very important regarding information, convey information to public and to readers, because we have this fake news, disinformation, scientific disinformation. So newspapers are very important right now to show what is happening in USA, in Canada, or in Russia, or in Ukraine, or even in Europe. So I think it's a time where people should read what is going on newspapers and not really just trust on social media, for instance.
And to build on that, I think I also see that even the Público, your newspaper, has been doing more and more reporting on science policy. And do you see that as also, how do you see the interest of the readers on those topics?
Well, that depends a bit. Right now it's huge because of what's going on in USA, really huge. And the role of Europe also. So what is Europe doing? And some people here, some panelists, also talk a bit about that. So right now it's huge. But even in our country, there were times where also where science were a bit in crisis or funding were in crisis. So readers are really keen to know what is happening. And also not only readers in general, but also the scientists and the community are really sometimes worried about it. So, yeah, so.
And you mentioned the fake news, misinformation, and I'm not going to ask you what's the solution, but I'm gonna ask you what can we, let's say, the scientific community can do to fight fake news and misinformation? Do you have any recommendations?
Well, it's a bit difficult,
of course.
But I think my suggestion will be to have a strong voice. And also to be present on the media landscape. Because if you were present on the media landscape, your voice will be stronger, and the other voices that are not really, we should not trust on them, will be weaker. But I think it's really a problem that I don't see a solution for it. And I think will be even worse. I'm a bit pessimist on that.
Yes, so we need to, in a way, fight back on this, and we need to find new ways.
And also the Portuguese scientific community changed a lot during these past 30 years, I have to say, because 30 years ago, and now it's the perspective of a science journalist, 30 years ago when we went to speak to a scientist, for instance, as journalists, oh, it was really, really, really hard. I think people, sometimes scientists were a bit afraid of talking to a journalist. Right now it's the opposite. I think scientists are very keen to talk with journalists, in Portugal at least, but I think even the experience, in the past it was easier to speak, for instance, to a scientist in USA than to a Portuguese scientist. Right now I think it's the same, so that was really this long way. I mean, it was a hard work from many people, from the Portuguese Science Ministry, for instance. I mean, we know the legacy of Mariano Gago. That was also because Portuguese scientists went abroad and then come back, young scientists. Also, like Maria de Souza, also the generation came back to Portugal. So that was really a different environment that was built during these 30 years. And now Portuguese scientific community want to talk and want to show what science is being done in Portugal, and that's a big change.
And to give a bit of credit to the journalists, I think it also helps that some newspaper used to have before, but now a bit less, but they still have like public science journalists, because the scientists also want to talk with journalists, they understand their science, and that's a very important point.
Yes, it is, and so as a science journalist, I have to say that science journalism, it's a passion for me, really, 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 and we feel very great when we do our work as best as we can. And of course, I mentioned the Portuguese Science Ministry, the Mariano Gago also, all the scientists, but I think science journalists also have a role here, not only newspaper Público, but other journalists. Unfortunately, today, newspaper Público is the only newspaper with a science section, and that's sad.
It's sad, but we need to keep it. It's very important. Maybe we'll go, we have been talking a lot about collaborations, about science centers, science museums, the role of media. And Katja, I would like to go to you. You are here in a way representing a union of professional researchers, astronomers. You work in a project that is Astronomy for Development. How do you see in the different, you have a lot of experience working in different contexts. You are yourself from Ukraine, working in the Netherlands. From your experience, how can we build scientific collaborations, especially with countries with no tradition on these international collaborations? Do you have any, can you give us some perspectives from your side?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's really an honor, and also it's so incredibly impressive to learn more about the science centers in Portugal. It's so beautiful also to see everything that the Junior Academy of Science does in Ukraine. And I have to add a bit of a personal thing that when I was a teenager back in Ukraine participating in the scientific competitions at the Junior Academy of Sciences, I didn't think that, 20 years later, I'm going to be sitting here and looking at all the beautiful, amazing, and really inspirational things that you do in Ukraine. So thank you. And now back to the question. I think that I want to give an example actually by the things that are done within the International Astronomical Union, which is a professional global organization that unites professional astronomers all over the planet. So we have about 12,000 astronomers from more than 100 countries that are part of the union. And I think that the public probably best knows the union for naming and not naming Pluto a planet. But except for that, union does also a lot of other things. The mission is to promote astronomy in education, to promote astronomy in development, to promote astronomy in public engagement. And so one of the initiatives that also I'm representing here is Office of Astronomy for Development, which is one of the key initiatives of the union. And the idea is to harness the people, the skills, the technology, the networks that we have in astronomy, in professional astronomy, but also how we can harness it for sustainable development across the world, with actually quite a strong focus on developing countries. And for example, the Office of Astronomy for Development does that through the projects that they fund every year. And so the office was founded in 2013, while actually the union was founded in 1919. So about 6 years ago, it was a 100th anniversary. But Office is founded back in 2016, and since then it funded about 300 different projects, mostly in developing regions, in developing countries, where astronomy was used as a tool for sustainable development. And here this can be educational activities, can be activities that harness just the potential of the dark sky. And I think that this is a beautiful example of how countries that don't have that don't have strong funding and maybe don't have yet a strong culture of scientific collaboration, they can start participating in those activities. And I think the end goal at the end is not just to make these countries participate, but to go towards making them equal partners in all this collaboration. And I think that that's actually a great example.
Thank you, Katja. And maybe I will ask Maria to to comment a bit, because you have this vision of establishing this network of science centers. And what will be for you the best scenario after the end of the war? And we hope that it's going to be very soon, in terms of how many science centers you like to see in Ukraine in the next few years.
We really want to make the science centers in every region. The main idea that children from each town, in each city and each village can touch to the science, and this is build many opportunities in the future, because the children don't be scared about the world of science. Oh, science, it's not for me. And the science can be fun. Science, we are working with the message that the scientists are biggest dreamer, because they produce difficult things, make simply, or different things that can change our world. And this is the way of the future, to make together. And we want to put this message in every head of every Ukrainian children. That's why near the 30 science centers, I think, like that. Ukraine is a big country, and we really need it more.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria.
I just want to comment something. When you showed your video, what struck me was how normal the centers seemed, how normal life inside the center. That was really, I mean.
The Science Center in Ukraine and the travel exhibition, this is the, like, not a safety place, but the place where for children there no war, just before the air alarm. And after it, it's just a normal, happy place when they can make different educational programs and make a science and understandable how to work this work. There's no war in science centers.
Thank you, Maria.
This is position.
Thank you. It's a very beautiful image, and it seems that, like Teresa was saying, that it seems that that's the case, and it was very moving. And like I remember that you told a similar story last year at Excite, and I was like Kale. I could see some tears on my eyes, so it's a very moving story. And I would like to open a bit to discussion, but since I know that we have some drinks and food outside, maybe I would prefer to move the discussion to the food and drinks, and we can have a longer conversation. So I'd like to invite all our guests here, our panelists, and the panelists before. Especially, I'd like to thank all the panelists and before for joining us today for this conversation, for this important conversation. I think we touch a lot of important topics. And also just to let you know, today around the country, every single science center is open. And just here at the Pavilion of Knowledge, I think we already passed the 2,000 people that enter the science center today. So it's also a good sign that science is present in society. And thank you so much, our colleagues from the Junior Academy of Science from Ukraine, for joining us today and to be able to celebrate the National Day of Scientists. Thank you so much. So now, please join us outside so we can continue some of these discussions and conversations. Thank you so much.
you.